Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello.
We're here for John Wick Chapter 2, 2017's sequel to John Wick's seemingly completed storyline. I think this is my big question mark here for Chapter 2, sort of like, how are we gonna take the next step? Like, how are we getting to the next part here? Because you walk the dog home, you got your revenge. I'm thinking I'm back, and then yeah, I'm done. We're good.
Yep.
So
that's the question for you, because obviously I already know how this goes.
Your question will be for Parabellum.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will be where my questions happen. Although the ending to this one kind of leaves the door wide open, which is interesting.
Okay. Well, and we also know that they're gonna be making a John Wick 4 and 5. So
I did not know that, but okay.
Yes, yeah, they've got both of those ready to go. But nice to know that this one ends with a little bit of an open note, where it's sort of like, yeah, I'm excited for this one because of how much I liked the first one, like even more than I thought I was going to. I'm definitely super excited to see more choreography out of this film after the first one is just like, you know, me quietly watching it at night going like, oh, that was cool. Oh, that was, yeah, he shot all those dudes. Oh, man. Like, oh, look at this club. Oh, I shot everyone. So cool.
Yep. So out of curiosity, how do you think they expand this into a sequel?
The only thing that I could think would happen would be in the first one, it's John Wick targeting those who have done him wrong. Only thing I can think of for Chapter 2 would be that reverses, where someone like puts out a hit on John Wick, and he has to defend himself against other assassins and try to kind of clear up this misunderstanding, this miscommunication.
Interesting.
Because you sort of want to, I think if this was a movie, if this was like a mid-tier budget movie in the 80s and the 90s, you just kind of do it again. But instead of like the Russians, it would be the Germans, or it would be an Italian mob, you know, something like that. It'd be something like that. And I think the expectation now is that you can't just do it again. I think you have to do something not radically different, because you want to stay true to the spirit of the first one, but you gotta change it up a little bit. You can't just have him say like, I'm thinking I'm back, ... again. You know, like, it just, you can't.
Okay.
You can't do it like that.
So, I mean, let's dive into it. Like, this movie, I think, has a great hook. At the very, very beginning of the movie, it has a very good hook as to why this story would happen.
Okay.
It's a hook that I never saw coming.
Okay. Both of those things are exciting.
It also makes me laugh, though, because already in the 5 minutes of this show, you have accidentally spoiled yourself on two things and don't even know it.
Okay, so it's the Italian
mirror moment all over again.
So let me guess, the Italian mob has put out a hit on John Wick.
Kind of close. We will see. We will get there eventually.
What is wrong with me? All right, I should be a screenwriter, apparently. Oh man, that's the natural end of this series, is that you and I make a film and we sell it to like MTV Films or something.
Yeah, for like $12.
Yeah, exactly. We're not rich, but contractually we have to finish the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a surprise. Like, okay, like, you know the big players. You know Charon. You know Winston. You know John.
Yep.
You know Miss Perkins, even though she's dead. Any faces you're expecting to see in this movie other than John Wick?
No, but I'm expecting this. I'm expecting the trajectory of actors and like guest actors and cameos to follow the trajectory of the Fast saga, where it's sort of like, all right, I want to get in on this. Like, even if I'm in the background for like 2 minutes and I'm like, hello, John Wick, it's me. Bill Nye the Science Guy. It's like, that's like, fine work you're doing over there, Mr. Science. And then like, he's gone. I can see more people wanting to get in on this.
So, just so you know, the director of this, Chad Stahelski, whatever his name is, he was Keanu Reeves' stunt double in the original Matrix movies.
That's super cool.
So, there's a reason why he knows how to do good stunts,
right?
Good choreography.
Right. That's
we
cool.
saw some of the Matrix crossover in the first one, obviously. John Wick himself being Keanu Reeves. We also saw the Keymaker.
Yes. Yep.
The Matrix crossovers will continue in this movie.
Is Carrie-Anne Moss in this?
Pardon?
Is Carrie-Anne Moss in this?
No. Although you could argue that the modern day version of Carrie-Anne Moss is in this.
Okay, interesting. I don't know who that would be, but I'm waiting for them to pop up on screen. I'll be like, it's her.
They will show up immediately, and you will not be happy because, from what I understand, they are a bit of a nightmare human. So that's fun.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, interesting. Yeah.
From what I understand, they are a nightmare human. I'm not going to confirm or deny that because it's 2020, it's early October. It's very difficult to do this kind of show these days because next thing you know, people from the Fast and Furious franchise just come out as wrong-uns, and then we've got to go back and
Vin Diesel is like, I love eating babies. It's just like, oh no, Vincent, no.
He likes his D&D, so that wouldn't put it past him at all.
Satanic Panic warned us.
But there is a lot of really, really good guest stars in this.
Okay.
And I know there's one that you're going to absolutely love. I'm just going to tell you his character name right now. He is the Sommelier.
I love it immediately. That's super good.
I absolutely adore the fact that this person shows up. That the Sommelier is such a good description for what they do. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Oh man, super pumped to watch another of these, and interesting. This will have to be another franchise / series that we'll have to go back to in future seasons. But since there's fortunately / unfortunately only 3 of them right now, but
Can I suggest you build a website? Don't get me wrong, you're going to have to stay much more on top of the pop culture than you'd like to. Just start a new website, or somebody listening, start a website called aretheyarongan.com, and then you just type in a celebrity's name, and then you can find out exactly how wrong they are.
Terribleornot.com.
Right. Kind of like Rate My Professor, except Rate My Wrongness.
Right. Right. Oh man! All right. Anything else we should know going into chapter 2 here?
I like this movie a lot. I like what this movie does for the world of John Wick. Do you remember when Hitman got re-released, the new Hitman, not 2 or 3, but the new one, and it was like, "Welcome to a world of assassination."
Right, and you're like, "Oh, hello."
That's the tagline for this movie.
Okay. So that's where some of this stuff starts coming into play.
Builds that
everyone's a secret assassin.
This movie is where that comes from, where literally everyone is an assassin. It comes from here.
Okay. All right. Well, with all that being said, let's go watch the movie. Welcome back to the second half of John Wick Chapter 2, Chapter Dos here. I don't even have my notes up. Hold on, here we go. There we go. All right, not a lot of notes this time. But we've finished the film. We're back here. Thankfully, no dogs murdered in this one. That's things are already looking up.
Big step up, yes.
Yeah, I think that the big thing that my biggest takeaway from this is it feels way more brutal than the first one, in kind of a good and kind of a bad way. I don't think I saw anything in this that was like the Amazon show The Boys, where I'm just like, ooh, oh god.
Yeah,
ooh.
I binge watched that entire thing this week, so we'll talk about that on pre-show for the main show.
Yeah, thankfully there's nothing like that where you're like, oh, ooh, ew. But you know, he kills some guy with a pencil this time, which is initially pretty
at a bar at the metro station, essentially, with a pencil.
Right, and like he like shoves a guy's head through, like the pencil through a dude's head, and I was just like, ooh, okay, that's a little bit. Usually it's just pew, 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 or like silence, like, which RTX probably killed that sound effect, but that's okay. It's properly silenced.
So, like, I mean, let's get right into it. This movie starts with the car chase.
Yeah, like. Also, it starts with. Hold on. It starts off with like a really great fake out, which seems to be the bad guy from the first movie's brother is super upset with John Wick, and John Wick doesn't care about him. He just wants his car back. And in that...
Shall we mention who that brother is, by the way?
Yeah, he's one of the... What is his name? Whenever I see him, I go...
Peter Stormare,
right.
a.k.a. one of those guys who everybody has seen in everything.
He's really good at this. I also mentioned that during this car chase fight scene thing, John Wick gets hit by like 4 cars. So dude like sideswipes that he gets hit by a car, he just flies out of the car. Like it was pretty great. It's a hell of a way to start this movie off.
And he gets his car back.
Yeah, and like I like that he goes. I like that there's a good callback to the first movie where I think that Peter Stormare tells his assistant guy that like, oh, that's John Wick's car, and the assistant guy just goes, oh. Yeah. And I like John Wick is just like, look, you didn't have to do all this. I just wanted my car. We're gonna share a drink. Are we cool? All right, we're cool. See you later. I'm taking my car.
And then he leaves with his car.
Yeah, he leaves with his car that has like no windshield and maybe 2 doors. Yeah. It had a hell of a way to start the movie off. And I like that this movie, it doesn't spend a lot of time doing it, but it does a lot of work building up the lore of the Wickiverse. To like, here's this
that sounds like a witch wiki.
Yeah, my pagan Wickiverse. I like that what's the medallion thing called? I'm so bad with like
it's a marker.
The marker.
It's a marker of death.
Yeah, I think it's this cool thing where it's this. I like how seriously the universe treats it. Like you made a promise. You made a deal with the marker. This is a thing that even assassins hold true. Like this is the thing. Like you have made a deal.
It's literally the second rule that we've learned of assassins, which is number 1, no business on the Continental.
That's right.
And number 2, everyone upholds the marker. Everyone.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you are, the marker is upheld.
I think that's so cool that there's this, I think you could easily get into, like, no honor among thieves. I think that's the easy thing to say, like, well, they're all assassins.
But that's Perkins in the first one. Like,
right,
Perkins is 1,000% no honor among thieves.
Right, and she gets smacked down pretty quickly. And I don't think that's really what I would want to see out of this. I like that there's this old and storied history around this job, this profession.
Which, it's like when we learn about the marketer, it even gets delved into further because we learn about something called the high table.
Yeah, the high table of assassins were just like, oh, okay, it's like this round table Arthurian, like shadowy council. It's like, yeah, man, all right, high table in caps. I like it. Yeah, there's a lot of cool lore, world building, whatever you want to call it. I like that there's more stuff to it. You
Yeah,
get to see
like
Lance Reddick as Kayron again, which is always great, pulling off that great accent.
yeah, and I love the no, so this facility does not board. I, however, would be much obliged.
It's like there's this like half a second moment when he makes that decision where he's almost excited to take care of the dog, where he's like, I, however, sir, will take care of him. Like there's this cool little like flash of like, yeah, maybe this is like a little weakness for Kayron. That's
He likes his dogs.
Yeah, like he likes his dogs, and I think there's also a level of like mutual respect.
He also had to know what happened to John's original dog.
Sure, yeah. Well, and I think there's like a level of genuine mutual respect between the two of them, where I think he's sort of like, look, I don't want to leave John Wick out in the lurch, especially when he just got another dog that he seems to really like. Like, I'll take care of it. It's fine.
Yeah. What did you think of Santino? Like the whole marker thing when he shows up and he's cashing in his marker. Like the whole, I think his introduction is pretty solid as someone who,
like, it's really good.
Like he blows up John's house.
I like that the movie doesn't spend any time then introducing him. The two of them know each other somehow. He has found his way.
John is probably not the biggest fan of him, just based on the slightly frosty reception that he gives him.
Right, and then like Santino is very clearly cashing in some chips here, and John Wick is like, nope. And Santino's like, you sure? Because like you kind of can't say no. John's like, no, sorry, man, can't do this. Sorry. So he blows up his house.
It loops back to the church scene in the first one as well, where you get I was perfectly fine to let this marker go,
right?
But you came back. Right. You came back into the fold. I don't care what it's about. I don't care. You showed that you can still be that John Wick, which I love the fact that he gets another name here. He gets the Ghost John Wick.
Yeah, that was
which
good.
Tells you he's not just about being the boogeyman and literally killing everybody. He can also be very stealthy when he needs to be.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting having this intro, and then it's interesting to see how quickly John has to pull all this stuff together, and in what I think is a really great set of scenes, especially for the sommelier. Like one of the best.
Before we get there, like he gets the whole thing. Like the sitting at the museum, and you see him like this sitting at the museum scene with Santino is fantastic. Where like
I forgot about that. It's so good.
Where Santino is like, yeah, this was my father's collection, so clearly he's money and probably bad money.
And he even says like, I just see colors and brush strokes. Like he just doesn't care about it.
And then you can tell that John Wick is like thinking of how to kill him. And he's like, I can see it in your face. Counting the guards, counting the exits. How would you do it? You know, would it be with your tie? Would it be, you know, that person's soda cup, this person's thing? And John Wick's just like, my own hands.
Yeah, he's so angry. Yeah. So
good. But yeah, so he has to fulfill the marker, which in this case, Santino sends him to kill his sister, who has just taken her dead father's seat at the high table.
Right. And Santino's like,
later.
But I want it. I think I'd do better. And John Wick is just like, oh, God. Okay, fine.
Because he's like, his response is, well, I can't kill her. It's my sister.
Hold before we get to the like getting all the stuff, and the sommelier, probably my favorite character in this movie. I love when he goes to the Continental in Rome. Their version of the manager is just like, I have to ask you a very important question.
Literally, my note here says,
are you
to
here to kill the Pope? It, like, I love that it's like this serious, like, I might have to stop you if you're gonna do it, and John Wick is like, no, and he's like, welcome to the Continental.
Yep.
I think it's so good. Where it's just like, look, I can deal with a lot. Clearly, this man is probably the only one that could kill the Pope.
That gives you
is
an
that your
idea
job?
of how good John Wick is.
Right.
Because you don't call him in unless it's something very serious. And the only thing that pops into this guy who happens to run the Roman Continental, the first thing in his head is, oh crap, John Wick's going to kill the Pope.
Right. That's the only reason he would be here, is to kill the Pope. It's so good. And as soon as he's like, no, he's like, all right, everything's open to you here. Continental, what's up? I do like John Wick getting his new suit, the tactile neck.
The montage about the new suit, and yeah, I've written the tactile neck here as well.
Yeah, it's really, and I like the back and forth between him and the tailor about how he wants it cut. Like, John Wick knows exactly what he wants out of the suit. He knows how good he's going to look, and this guy is just kind of meeting his needs. And I like that suit...
It's the double meanings as well. Like, how many suits do you need? Okay, 2. What you want the lining to be? And his response is tactical.
Right. Just really
know exactly what that means.
And I think that's something that's so interesting about this movie is I like that they spend time on the suit, and they spend a little bit of time on what the suit's lining is made out of and how it protects him, because in so many scenes, John's first defense is just to pull up like
cover his
like the suit coat, to pull it up, or like pull part of it up over him as like a makeshift shield to get out of something. And I like that if they hadn't spent, I like that they spent exactly enough time where it's like, look, it's bulletproof, it's gonna hurt, it's lined, the thing, you know, go on your way. It doesn't spend a 20-minute montage scene about all the details. It's just like, here's another tool in your arsenal. Here's why. Now go crazy.
Yeah, and now we need to talk about it. I told you would love him. I told you he would be your favorite character.
The sommelier is so good, because I like that you go in...
Peter Serafinowicz.
Yes, and he's very good in everything. Yes. And I just love... I like how competent the suit guy is, the tailor. I like how weird the blueprints guy is, where he's just like, all right, here's one from about 3,000 years ago. I had it around. And then he's sort of building up through the generation and the centuries of the building. But the sommelier is so like passionate about guns that it just, you can't help but, and you get to see John Wick like appreciate a new tool as well. You get to see him like turn it and you know, pull out the mag and pop it back in, and you know, it's also the fact that he knows his customers. Like, okay, I know you're a fan of the German models, but may I recommend the new generation of Belgians are also very good. And the fact that they don't refer to them as Belgian guns, they refer to them as Belgians like a wine from Belgium. Yep. Like, it's just like a new vintage. Like, this year's vintage is so good. Like, and it just, and I like that they play through the whole thing where it's like, here's your meal, and then he's like, and I'll need dessert. And he goes, and it almost surprises the guy where he's like, oh, dessert. like it's a little treat for him too. Like, it's like
I like the fact that he's like, for after the main meal, he wants something loud. With a bit of pop to it, and he's like, "Oh," and he just pulls out like the facial expressions that the Serafinowicz pulls off is so perfect for both that hoity-toity wine drinking a-hole, but also for someone who loves his job as providing arms and knowing what every single one of them is like.
Right. It's very much it fits. There's so many little things about these movies that make the whole world really cohesive, because you would expect that someone that's associated with the Continental in John Wick, with these ancient coins that open all doors, that the person that they would be dealing with would be the best of the best, but like be a
Mm-hmm.
little bit obsessively weird about this thing that they do. And this thing they do is allow John Wick to kill 400 people in this mission he's gonna do. It's really great.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
some ways, so good. So
Yeah.
good.
And I like there. I feel like there isn't a whole ton to talk about with
From this point onwards, because it's just action from
it's
here
just
until the
shooting
end
for
of
the
the
rest of the movie. I thought it was. I feel like I was sort of surprised that they spent so much time on Santino's sister, because I felt like it would just be a target. But I guess it makes sense that John Wick and her knew each other, which was a fairly okay scene. I like that she sort of went out on her own terms, and he still
and then
shot her.
John has to do his thing.
Right. I do really like Common as the bodyguard guy.
I'm not a fan of him as an actor. It's very rare he's in something where I think he acts particularly well.
Mhm.
This performance is outstanding from Common.
Yeah.
Like, I love him in this role.
I actually liked both him and Ruby Rose. I think this is the first thing I've seen Ruby Rose in. And she plays Ares, I think her name is.
It is. It's
Yeah.
Ares.
The mute, like, right-hand man.
For Santino, yeah.
I feel like she just does that, like, that calculated, menacing thing. And then she gets kind of a cool send-off. And she's like, see you later. But yeah, you're not wrong that like the rest of this movie is basically all pew, 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 pew.
Yeah. The
Which
only
isn't
exceptions are like, okay, so we get the sister assassination.
Yep.
We get John Wick coming back and the $7 million bounty being put on his head, which
right.
gives us the everyone is assassins montage as he tries to get back to the Continental in New York.
Yep.
That's the train station, the violinist, the sumo guy who is outside, and then the two guys at the bar with the pencil.
Yep. All really great. Like he's in pretty bad shape already, and just like hobbling from one fight to another, where it's just like, please leave me alone.
Yeah, and then he gets basically to the Continental, and he ends up having a little bit of a face-off there with Santino. And like Santino's already filled his marker. Like he's forced to by the owner of the Continental in New York,
which is a really good scene where the manager is sort of like, look, you're being a brat. Like you're just being a baby about this whole thing. He did the job. He did exactly what you wanted him to. You're done. Just fulfill the marker and just shut up and be done with it. I know you're scared of him killing you, which he's going to, but
yes,
you need to fulfill this thing because we're done.
And then like he can't get to the Continental, so where does John Wick go? He goes to the king of the underworld.
It's just Lawrence Fishburne, Larry Fishburne, just hanging out, being super extra. Just, I feel like so many people are going to be used to him being Morpheus, which is like,
so the hyper serious character.
Yeah, like this really relaxed. And he's just like, John Wick, what's up, dude? It's just like, what?
I like the fact that he's dressed like a hobo, and then basically when shift's over, he gets like that velvet cloak, like a dressing gown thing.
It's like super expensive, like smoking jacket almost. It's really good. And I like that for $7 million, he gives John Wick a gun with 7 bullets. And even John is like, a 7-bullet clip. And he's like, yeah, man, good luck.
$1 million a bullet.
Yep.
And then literally, so then the whole thing is he's going to go kill Santino. Now that the marker is complete, he's going to kill Santino to basically end the contract, because if the contract person is dead, then it doesn't matter. And also because he made him kill his friend and his sister, who they all seem like big POSs anyway, so it's no big deal in my eyes that they're gone. But obviously John had not a relationship, but some form of relationship with this family.
Right, and now there's
Clearly
like a vendetta.
Brother.
Yeah.
And so he's going to go kill Santino. in a museum, and literally he uses those 7 bullets within about 4 seconds flat as soon as he arrives.
We did forget to mention the part that I really liked, which is like the accounts payable department, where
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that in the first one, where it's just a bunch of people dressed in old school telegraph.
I don't think it
things.
showed up in the first.
It does. It
Oh,
shows up
okay.
in the first one because he puts the $2 million bounty on John Wick, and they're all covered in tattoos and stuff in the first one. You see it
Yeah,
in the
okay.
first one.
I don't remember that from the first one, but yeah, they feature it a lot more in this one, and I really like the pneumatic tubes, like the old terminal computers. They're all just the switchboard phones. It just all that stuff is super cool.
I love it's the whole thing. It's one of the reasons why I like the T-shirt that we did, is because it's the direct opposites interacting with
Yes,
each other. It's something happy and something negative
right.
smushed together, which makes it kind of funny. In this
Someone on their
case,
smartphone is calling a switchboard. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
and in this case as well, it's like they're wearing those vintage outfits like you would
yep.
see in like the 40s and stuff, but they are head to toe, like sleeves of tattoos, piercings
Mm,
everywhere. It's like this really cool hybrid of old and new all mixed in together.
yep. Yeah, I like that. I like that so much of. You're right. He uses like all 7 of those bullets almost immediately, and then he's just like wrenching guns out of dudes' hands to shoot
To
someone else.
steal to steal the Metal Gear Solid terminology here, it is pure procure on site
That's right.
for the rest of the ammo that gets used in this.
And so much of it, I like that his. It seems like his shooting changes here, where it's 1 to the chest, 1 to the head, as opposed to like maybe 2 to the chest and 1 to the head in some of the other scenes. So it's very much like there's this ammo economy he has because he is doing procure on site, that there's some of his stuff changes. And I think one of the most technically impressive scenes that I have seen in a really long time.
Are we about to talk about the Hall of Mirrors?
Yeah.
Before we get there, I just want to point out
Sure.
something that sticks out a lot to me in this movie that I didn't notice in the first one.
Mhm.
It's how aggressively he flips his magazines.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it in the first movie, but in this, especially in the tunnel scene after he's killed the sister, when he's out of ammo in one of those magazines, he basically does the smallest ejection thing, doesn't clear the chamber, but just whips that gun sideways, and then the
Yep.
empty magazine flies off and hits a wall, and he's already got the new one
Yep.
in. Like this, he does it with the pistols, he does it with the assault rifles. Like when he's
Just
emptying
like
it, he presses that eject button, flips the gun, and the magazine just flies off because he's just like, get it out of my way.
It's just
Quickly as
yeeting it
possible.
somewhere.
Get it out of the way.
Yep. Yeah, I'm when we're done with all 3 of these, I'm really interested to watch some behind the scenes stuff, because I feel like I run the risk of, since I'm going into this so blind, I'm running the risk of being like, oh, remember when this thing happened in 3? It's like, oh, that's a spoiler. Okay. But yeah, like one of the more technically impressive scenes I've seen where it's just like, I'm sure there's some fairly common movie magic they're doing that the camera wasn't in literally every mirror around them.
From what I understand, it was pretty much there, and they had to CG the cameraman and the camera out of every single shot.
That's crazy. That's so much work. It's so impressive. And like,
but it's so good though. Like the doors opening and the doors closing, and this person standing there, and it's just reflections.
4 copies of them. Like, and it's interesting because it felt like the entire time John never got fooled by it. Like he always knew exactly where each person was, even if there were 4 or 5 of them in the mirrors. He's just like, now I need to wait. Yep, that was the right one. You know, he never really.
The dude put 2 bullets into his reflection, and then John shoots through a wall of mirrors to kill the dude who's standing behind them.
Right. I'll never get sick of John Wick, like shooting a dude in the foot and then shooting him in the head through a wall.
Especially as he does like the knees down, angle up, like 45-degree blind fire.
It's like, yeah, man, that's the stuff. I felt like the fight between John and Ares in the end of this was actually pretty good. It's a bit more brutal than I was expecting it to be, which I think turned out pretty well, because I thought I thought it was interesting to have them really show off how good Ares is, because she didn't really do too much up until that point that I can remember.
No, she was just the ringleader for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and keeping Santonio safe, basically. But yeah, he like chases Santonio all the way back to the Continental, and
oh yeah, I forgot about this. Like he has the whole mirror fight scene. I totally forgot there's still a scene left in this movie.
yeah, like chases him back to Continental, and even the manager's like, John, you don't want to do this, and Santonio's like,
it's like Santonio's like, kick him out, excommunicate him from the Continental. I don't care. I will be your boss. He's gone. Kick him out.
I have a seat on the high table. Like, you don't want to do this. And I like that John Wick is just like, well, I guess we're doing this. Blap. Like, just kills the dude in the Continental. Just like, apparently that was worth it. Which is an interesting choice, because you sort of expect the storyline to go like, well, he got away, you know, it was a shame, but John Wick wants to keep this relationship with the Continental up, but
yeah, I know. I like the fact that he gets excommunicado, and like the manager meets him and was like, look, the only reason you're not dead now is a matter of respect. You've got an hour.
Yeah,
like that's all I can give you. And like he raises his hand, and everybody in the park stops and stares at John.
It's a great scene. I will always be a sucker for like, this is how powerful I am. Like, all these people stop. It's like, yeah,
that's just because you like Yakuza 0 and you like that this is how powerful I am power thing.
I sure do.
The
Leader of the Tojo clan, the manager. I think the only thing that I was a little bit bummed about with this movie is this ending scene. And it's not because it's not good, but because I feel like there's so much osmosis since the John Wick movies have come out that I know in the third one he rides a horse. I know in this one it's World of Assassins. So I feel like the unveiling at the end that like literally everybody around him as he's running out of this park is an assassin, because the excommunicado thing has gone out to everybody. I think it's such a cool idea, and I think it's such a cool thing, but it's something you kind of already know by this point.
We also do get told as well that that the Carano, I think it is, which is the family from Santino's family,
Carrera or something like that.
Yeah, they have doubled his bounty.
Right.
So it's gone from 7 million to 14.
Right, and now it's the manager's excommunicado is worldwide. So, yeah, it's an interesting ending, because I don't think it's as, I mean, the end of the first one is pretty bittersweet. You know, he gets the dog and he walks home and he's beaten up, but you have a little bit of closure there. And I think this one is very clearly like, look, you guys really like John Wick, so there's gonna be a third one. You know, like,
and apparently a fourth and a fifth.
Right. And it's interesting to see them have a little bit more of a through line where it's like, John Wick has made a mistake, and literally everybody in the world is now hunting for him. So, and it's interesting to see it leave off on kind of a larger question mark than I was expecting it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked this a lot. I think they do some cool stuff here. I think it's a little bit of an uneven film from an action standpoint, because like you said, there's just like an hour of pure action in the second half, which I don't think is inherently bad, but I think the first movie was maybe paced in a way that I like a little bit better. But I think this is largely more John Wick, and I think that's really solid. And I think for me, as someone who likes the world building and lore and stuff like that, I think this movie goes a really long way towards fleshing that stuff out and making it really interesting. Like you talk about the high table, and here's a marker, and here's this giant ledger of all the markers through history, and you know, maybe the manager is a little bit more powerful than you think. And
Mm-hmm.
I really dug it. I think the first one for me is probably a little bit of a tighter movie. But I think this one is, if the first one is like a 10 out of 10, this one's like a 9.5 out of 10. You know, it's
Yeah.
right up there.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like I don't think this is as good as the first because it's hard to hit lightning twice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is definitely a solid movie.
Yeah.
It's again, it keeps to that thing. Like we said, the complaint I hear about 2 and the complaint I hear about 3 is it's more John Wick.
Right.
And you know if that's a good thing or a bad thing according to your tastes.
Right. Right. And you know, it's one of those things where it's like, if they had left it alone after the first one and said like, look, we made a really good film and we kind of don't want to go back to the well, I think you could have really respected that and said like, yeah, like, why bother, why worry about trying to mess it up, Pacific Rim 2, instead of just sort of leaving it where it was. And I'm
Prometheus.
right. And that was sort of my concern going to 2, is just sort of like, I don't expect him lightning to strike twice, but I'm expecting this to kind of be not great. And finishing it up was like, yeah, you know what? It's still really great. That's still really good. I still, that was like 2 hours and change of just a really great movie.
Yep. I'm looking forward to seeing 3 as well. Like,
yeah.
I've never seen it, so.
Yeah. I've seen the horse. That's about it.
I didn't even know there was a horse until you said horse a short while ago. So
I've always seen that picture of like John Wick riding a horse, and people are like, "Oh, the scene was so cool." And I was just like, "Okay." I'm like, I don't doubt it's going to be super cool because like some of the stuff they come up with is just incredible. But
and again, go check out the alternate posters for this one because the one on IMDb is good. But it's not the best. There is a fantastic Parabellum poster, which is literally just the kind of a poster of guns. It just looks so cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's John Wick Chapter 2, and we'll see you next episode for Parabellum. Bye.